The second day's walking along the St Edmund's Way begins at the village of Nayland and follows the River Stour west past Wiston Mill and Hall. The route heads north through woodlands and open countryside to Wissington Grange, before turning west again past Spouse's Vale to descend down into the village of Beghaus for the perfect halfway stop-off. Heading north out of Beghaus, the path follows the edge of the Stour Valley, over the railway line, and through the villages of Lamarsh, Great Henny and Middleton. The route continues north, arriving into Sudbury via the old railway line, and another encounter with the River Stour. Nayland is a beautiful historic village with its early 15th century church and dozens of stunning timber-framed houses. Just on the village's south side is Court Knoll, a large scheduled ancient monument worthy of a little detour, as it's probably the oldest part of the village. This large D-shaped enclosure has had some significant recent archaeological investigations, which revealed the remains of a chapel at the northeastern corner and a possible manor house on the low-lying ground, all surrounded by a rampart and ditch. The St Edmund Way briefly follows a beautiful section of the River Stour, with the tumbling waters of the weir and the meandering waterways leading you round to a conservation pond. After crossing the busy A134, the path follows field edges past Wiston Mill and up towards Wiston Hall, its medieval moat and Church of St Mary. The moat itself currently surrounds the late 18th century Wiston Hall, but likely once protected a much older hall on the same site. Nearby is the beautiful Norman Church of St Mary, dating to the late 12th century, and stands isolated on a small island within a floodplain. As you head north through Wissington, the route passes through a large area of woodland, carefully managed to attract and support the local wildlife. As you begin heading west for the final stretch into Beghaus, a track is followed on the very edge of Spouse's Vale and the famous Eiger Nature Reserve. Owned and managed by Suffolk Wildlife Trust, the woodland plays host to many rare birds, insects and plant species, and is famous for its bluebell display in spring. As you cross several open fields and join a track near Beghaus, just to the south there is the restored chapel of St Stephen. This chapel dates from the early 12th century and is said to have been built on the site of the King Church, where Edmund was crowned King of the Angles in 855 AD, and a fitting connection to this long-distance trail. Only a few minutes walk up ahead is the village of Beghaus. There are a couple of basic amenities, including the 8 Bells pub, which makes the perfect stop for some lunch before continuing to Sudbury. The Stour Valley Path, another long-distance trail, is followed to Sudbury. It hugs the edge of the Stour Valley as it makes its way north, and it's along here that you'll probably notice many pillboxes and other wall remains. This pillbox sits right on the edge of the St Edmund's Way and overlooks the meandering river. It's one of many along the stretch between Beghaus and Lavenham. The first village you arrive at is Lamarsh, with its community-owned Lamarsh Lion pub. On the edge of the village is the beautiful spired early 12th century parish church, which is visited before heading up and over the gentle hills to Great Henny. The views offered by gaining a little height are extensive, although you can't see it. In the distance over there is Long Melford Church, 6.5 miles away, and you can see how the town of Sudbury sits down in a shallow bowl surrounded by farmland. The spired church of Great Henny is past, which is believed to date from the 11th or 12th century, and is registered as a small place of pilgrimage. Passing Great Henny, the route follows the edge of the Grand Rise Hall estate, with its beautiful 17th century timber-framed house, and continues north over gentle hills past the final village of Middleton. My final destination of Sudbury is edging ever closer. It's been a long day's walking, but there are a few more highlights that still need exploring before I rest up for the night. The first of these is the path along the old railway line linking Sudbury to the surrounding villages. It crosses the Stour several times, each with its own unique view over the glistening waters and meadows. I turn off the railway line past the Key Theatre to arrive at Sudbury town centre and the end of this excellent day's walking.